Okay. So today we are going to talk about auxiliary verbs. Okay. When do we use auxiliary verbs? What do you know about them? When do we use them? When do we use auxiliary verbs?
In negative sentence
In negative sentences, yes.
and questions.
Questions, yes. We use auxiliary verbs. Any other ideas?
When we want to add information on about time,
For example,
mm,
about time.
or an attitude.
For example, what kind of attitude?
Mm, will
Mm.
for future.
Ah, okay. When you are talking about tenses, not time, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yes. Anywhere else? Any other situation in which we can use auxiliary verbs? No? Okay. So let's check these sentences. I want you to tell me which is the auxiliary verb that we are using in these tenses. Okay. Number one, they are having fun. Number two, I don't like horror movies. Number three, you read. Have you read this book? Number four, the book was written by him. And number five, he might have arrived by then. So what do you think is the auxiliary verb in the first one?
Are to be.
Having.
Are, right? Are is the auxiliary verb. In the second,
Don't.
don't. Very good, don't. Number three,
Have.
have. Very good. Number four,
Was.
Was.
very good.
Was.
Number five,
Might.
might. Very good. Okay, so now I
Might.
want you to tell me the tenses. For example, in the first one, we have the present continuous. What about the second one?
Present.
Present simple, right? Number three. What is the tense here?
Present perfect.
Present perfect. Number four.
Past perfect.
No. Number four.
Past continuous?
Past continuous.
No.
Past.
Past
Simple past?
No.
Past
fuera-
tense.
No. Si fuera simple past, solo estuviera este y no tendríamos ningún verbo acá. What tense is this one?
Past tense.
No. Si fuera past, como ya les dije, no tuviésemos un verbo acá.
Past participle.
Passive voice.
Passive voice, right? This is the passive voice. Remember that when we form the passive voice, we need a verb to be as auxiliary verb and a verb in the past participle form. Okay, passive voice. And what about this one? What about this one? Any ideas? No?
Is a modal verb.
Again, Shari?
Past perfect.
Is a modal verb.
Okay. Yes, it's a modal verb. Don't forget to turn off your microphones after your participation because there is an echo there. Okay. Yes, it's the past perfect. It's perfect tense. As you can see, it's a perfect tense because we have the auxiliary verb have to, but it's a perfect tense with modal verb. Okay. So these are some of the tenses that we have. Here we have a little chart, and I want you to help me to complete the auxiliary verbs for all the tenses that we have here. Okay? For example, let's go with the first one. Present simple. Which of the tenses we use for the which of the auxiliary verbs that we use for the present simple?
Is
Is
are.
are.
Is are.
No,
To.
no, it's not. The verb to be is not an auxiliary verb in the present simple.
Do in negative sentence.
Do. Okay.
Do it.
Girls, don't forget to turn off your microphone, okay? Participen y lo apagan porque se escucha un eco o un ruido. So, yes, we use do, don't, or does, or doesn't, right? This is in the present simple. What about the present continuous?
Are. Is.
Yes, very good. And how do we form it? ¿Cómo lo formamos? Are, is, or am, and
Ing.
and the verb with the ing form, right? So we have the auxiliary verb here, and then we have a verb with the ing form. What about the past simple?
Did and didn't.
Did and didn't. Very good. Past continuous. Past continuous. Was or were, and
Verb with ing.
a verb with the ing form, right? What about the present perfect?
Have and has.
Okay, have and has, and
Past participle.
a verb in the past participle, right? What about the past perfect? Past perfect. How do had, very good. Had and a verb in the past participle. And the passive voice?
Was.
Where?
Not,
Are.
Is
Are.
are, just is and are?
Was.
Was? Solo was?
Was
Okay.
verb in en.
Will.
Yes, we use the verb to be in any tense. We can use the verb to be in the present. For example, we can use is and are. We can use the verb to be in the past. Was and were. We can use the verb to be in the present perfect. Have been. We can use the verb to be in the past perfect. Had been. Okay, so we can use the verb to be in any tense. And after the verb to be, we need a verb in the past participle. So this verb to be can be in any tense. Okay, puede estar en cualquiera de estos tiempos gramaticales. Okay, incluso en el futuro. Okay, and also we have modal verbs that we use for example, for the future. We use modal verbs when we are talking about a supposition in the past. Okay, so we use modal verbs and they are also considered auxiliary verbs in the sentences. Okay, so here I have some sentences and I want you to help me to complete them, okay, with the correct auxiliary verb. Number one, tell me, you coming to the party? What is the correct auxiliary verb?
Are you?
Are you coming to the party?
Are you coming?
Yes. What is the tense here?
Present continuous.
Present continuous. Why do we use the present continuous in this question? Why?
The verbs in ing.
Okay, yes. Any other ideas?
Because the action is happening.
It's happening right now? Not exactly. Any other ideas? Remember that we can use the present continuous when we are asking about future plans. Are you coming to the party? Significa vas a venir a la fiesta o vas a ir a la fiesta. Ok, entonces, remember, present continuous, we can also use the present continuous to talk about future plans or to ask about future plans in this situation. Okay, number 2, he called me twice this morning. What about this one?
Hat.
It does.
Called.
Hat?
Has.
Has? Why has or why have? ¿Cuándo podríamos utilizar has y cuándo podríamos utilizar have? Oh, sorry, had.
En present y past perfect.
Okay, yes, but which one do I have to choose here? ¿Cuál de ellas podría elegir y por qué?
The time expression, teacher.
Okay, entonces, ¿cuál de ellas debería elegir?
Has.
Has. Okay, when do we use the present perfect? When do we use the present perfect?
For the time expression this morning, teacher.
No, not exactly.
Okay.
Anybody else? When do we use the present perfect? Or why do we use in this sentence the present perfect and not the past perfect? ¿Por qué no utilizaríamos el pasado perfecto y sí el presente perfecto?
For this morning.
No exactly. Puedo utilizar también pasado perfecto cuando digo this morning.
Because the action end there.
The action
And
ended.
didn't continue.
The action ended there and didn't continue.
Because it's an action that ends, but the person can do the same.
Can do the same?
Because the second verb is in the past.
No, it's not in the past, it's in the past participle. Okay, we use the present perfect when we talk about actions that we repeat. Okay, for example, here we have twice, the expression, right? Twice. So we can use, that's why we can use the present perfect. And we use the past perfect when we are talking about an action that happened before another action in the past. Okay, so in this sentence, we don't have this option, okay? We don't have an action that happened before another action in the past. That's why we use the present perfect. What about number 3? Where they go yesterday?
Did.
Did they go yesterday?
Okay. Where did they go yesterday, right? And this is the past simple. Generally, we use the past simple when we are talking about a specific day when something happened in the past, right? And completed actions. Number 4, the patient died before the doctor came.
Has.
Has died? Why? Again?
Had,
Why?
because it's after, sorry, before to the action.
Before to the action. No, we cannot We can't say before to the action. Yes, the correct tense is had. But remember that I told you, when we are talking about two actions and one of the actions happened before the other, we use the past perfect. For example, here we have two actions, the first one and the second one. Okay, so when we have two actions and this one happened first, okay, we need to use the past perfect. Okay, porque primero el paciente murió y después el doctor llega, ¿cierto? Entonces, por eso utilizamos el past perfect. Number 5. They can used for a number of different functions. They can
They can been.
They can
Been.
been. Why? What tense is this one?
Past participle.
Why? Why did you choose the past participle? The past participle, remember, is not an auxiliary verb. Okay, so in this exercise, we are filling the gaps with past participle verbs. Well, so sorry, with auxiliary verbs, not with past participle. Okay, so being is not an auxiliary verb. Okay,
Be,
again, please.
be,
Be. Why?
because it's a passive voice.
Yes, very good. Be because it's a passive voice. Be used, right? It's a passive voice. Number 6. Waiting for you. Be waiting for you on the corner tomorrow at 5.
He was.
Will,
Tomorrow he was.
will,
Right? He will be waiting for you on the corner tomorrow at 5, right? So remember, we can use modal verbs too when we are talking about auxiliary verbs. Number 2, you on his birthday. Have called him on his birthday.
might,
Might.
Tal vez. Could be.
Must.
Must. You should, right? You should have called him on his birthday. Debiste haberlo llamado. So we can use also modal verbs when we are talking about perfect forms to talk about the past. For example, this is a perfect form, have called, and we are talking about the past, right? Debiste haberlo llamado. And the last one, the bag packed by his mother.
Was.
Was packed by his mother, right? This is passive voice, right? Very good. So let's go to the book. Here in the book, you have exercise number 2. It says, are the verbs you wrote main verb or auxiliary verbs? So we said that these verbs were auxiliary verbs, right? The ones that we wrote. All of them are auxiliary verbs. How many are modal verbs? How many of them are modal verbs in this exercise? Which of them are modal verbs? Which of them?
might and would.
Might and would. Just
Can.
these two?
Can.
And can, right? Yes. Very good. Can you find a combination of two modal verbs? Is there any exercise here, any example with combination of two modal verbs? Two modal verbs. Sorry, two auxiliary verbs. Sorry. Is there a combination of two auxiliary verbs? ¿Alguna oración tiene dos verbos auxiliares?
Number one.
Number one, okay. Have been, right? Aquí tenemos have y aquí tenemos been. Tenemos dos auxiliares y el verbo principal sería reading. Any other?
Number 4.
Yes, have been invited. Very good. Any other? Any other example? This one, right? Would, be, and repeating. Would and be serían los auxiliares, ¿cierto? Okay. Let's complete the grammar panel here in the book. We use an auxiliary verb in a combination with another verb to add information about time or attitude, right? Okay, so we use have to form. What kind of tenses do we form with have?
Present. Perfect.
Perfect tenses, right? All the perfect tenses with have. Recuerdan, cuando ustedes tengan un auxiliar have en su oración, significa que es un tiempo perfecto, ¿ok? The next one, we use be to form
Continuous tenses.
okay, continuous tenses, and the
Passive voice.
passive voice. Very good. We use it to form the passive voice. Number 4, we use have and together for perfect continuous tenses. For perfect continuous tenses.
Been.
Been, very good. Have been. Or perfect passive tenses. Okay. Number 5, we use do and did for questions.
Does.
We use do, does, and did to form questions. Negative and emphatic forms in the present and present simple and past, right? Very good. Then we use modal auxiliary verbs, for example, can, would, or etc., to add information about the speaker's attitude. For example, certainty, if the speaker is sure, we can use must, for example. If the speaker is not sure, we can use may, okay? So for the certainty. Then we have for permission. For permission, we can use can or could or may. For possibility or abilities, también podríamos utilizar can, yes, or could, okay? So we can use modal verbs too as auxiliary verbs, okay? I want you to go to page 121. We are going to practice a little bit this on page 121. Exercise number 2.1. 2.1, we are going to start with A. Okay. Page 121. Tell me, please, it says, 3 of the sentences contain a mistake. Juliana, can you read the first sentence?
I've only been lived in the town for 3 months, but I already feel part of the local community.
Okay. So what do you think is the mistake here, Solange? What could be the mistake in number 1? Is there any mistake? Solange, Querema? Your microphone is off.
And this 122?
21.
It's 122, teacher.
22. No, but exercise number 2-1.
Sentence 2?
1.
I only been lived in the town for 3 months, but I really feel part of the local community.
Okay, so what is the mistake here in this sentence, Solange?
Being?
¿Cuál es el error? Okay, being, why?
No, sorry, is only. Sería being live in a town.
Why? What tense is this? ¿Qué tiempo gramatical es este? Solange, si usted está pasando 2 clases al mismo tiempo, no va a aprender de ninguna de las 2.
No, no soy yo, es mi sobrino.
Ok, entonces, ¿por qué está tan perdida? Usted está perdida, no está prestando atención a la clase. Anybody? What could be the mistake here?
Lived.
Okay, why?
Because we can say I've been living in the
Very
town.
good. What tense is this? What is the tense? Anybody?
Perfect continuous.
Perfect continuous.
Which perfect continuous? Because we have a lot of perfect continuous. Which of them?
Present perfect continuous.
Present perfect continuous. Very good. Number 2, please. Let's go with Rodrigo. Number 2. Rodrigo, are you in the class?
I might not have moving here if I hadn't had friends here.
Okay, so what is the mistake, Rodrigo? Again, please.
Not have, might, I have, no, sorry, might not.
So how can we change the mistake?
The negative form of might is, that doesn't exist.
Exists. The negative form of might exist.
Yes?
Yes, of course. Anybody? What is the mistake here in sentence number 2? Because Rodrigo is lost.
Hadn't.
Again?
If I here, if I had, I hadn't would friends here.
No.
I might maybe moving. I may not have moved in past.
¿Cómo?
Participa o no.
The verb
¿Cómo,
in
Erika?
past.
The verb moving in past participa.
¿Cuál sería el verbo?
Move.
¿Cómo? ¿Por qué moved, Erika?
Moving.
¿Cómo se pronuncia este verbo, Erika? Jamás moved. ¿Cómo se pronuncia? Erika, ¿vio el video que le mandé? Porque el video no lo hago para nadie más que para ustedes. El video es para ustedes, para que ustedes lo miren y para que ustedes aprendan, para nadie más. ¿Vio el video que le mandé, Erika, sobre la pronunciación? Erika, ¿me está escuchando? Your microphone is off. Su micrófono está apagado.
Sorry. Yes, teacher.
Ok, entonces, ¿cuántos tipos de pronunciación tenemos? De acuerdo al video.
With ed
Ujú.
and I don't remember.
No le prestó atención, entonces solo lo miró por mirarlo. Cuando usted mira un video, tiene que aprender de ese video. No tiene que solo mirarlo porque ya. ¿Ok? Tiene que aprender y tomar nota, porque esto lo va a utilizar de aquí toda su vida. ¿Ok? Entonces tiene que tomar nota y tiene que aprender. Porque si usted no lo aprende, ¿para quién lo hago? Yo lo hago para ustedes. Por eso se lo envío solo a ustedes, porque es para ustedes. Right? Para que ustedes pronuncien bien en el examen. Entonces, ¿cómo se pronunciaría este verbo? ¿Alguien me dice?
Move it.
No, nunca move it, nunca, jamás.
Moved.
Moved, right? Moved.
Okay.
Ok, vea el video de nuevo y practique la
Moved.
pronunciación y escríbaselo, anóteselo para que lo aprenda.
Okay.
No más errores de ed, por favor. Number 3, please. Number 3 is for Pamela. Your microphone is off.
Okay. The toe is a little slowing
Is
and
slowing. ¿De dónde lee usted is slowing?
in so I- mm, the toe is a little slowing. No, is slowing.
Es que usted escucha lo que está diciendo, voy a escribirlo. Is, y luego pone una L que no existe, no está la L directamente después de la. Is slow it, usted dice. No está la L después de la S. ¿Qué viene después de la S acá en la palabra?
No.
¿Cómo? Aquí en la palabra. ¿Qué viene después de la S?
La letra O.
Ok, ¿por qué no la pronuncia la O?
Is solid.
Hizo.
Is solid.
Y toda esta palabra, esta parte de acá, ¿no la pronuncia también? La A. No la pronuncia la A ni la T.
Isola. No sé cómo se pronuncia, teacher, esa palabra.
Isolated. Isolated. Yes.
The toe is a little isolated, and in the winter it can something being cut off by snow.
No está leyendo. Usted se salta las pronunciaciones. Por ejemplo, acá le voy a decir que no leyó. No leyó la N. Tau, dijo. Town. Termina en una N, no en una U, ¿cierto? Something, dijo. Sometimes. Being. ¿Ok? Pronuncie todas las palabras hasta el final, no las corte, porque si no, no significan nada. ¿Ok?
Ok, teacher.
Una vez más, lea la oración.
The town
Town.
the town is a little slowing.
No, de nuevo está leyendo como quiere. Isolated, isolated.
The town,
Town,
the town is a little isolated, and in the winter it can sometimes be cut off by snow.
Las S se las olvida. Sometimes. Winter. Winter. La T solo se pronuncia como D, más o menos a veces, cuando está entre dos vocales. Pero acá no tenemos dos vocales alrededor de la A. Por ejemplo, writing. Writing. Podría pronunciarse como una D, porque hay dos vocales. O sea, la T está entre dos vocales. Pero acá en winter no está entre dos vocales. ¿Ok? Entonces es una T nomás. Okay, so what is the mistake here, Pamela? What can we correct here? Pamela?
The
¿Usted también está en otra clase?
no teacher is my sister.
So, what is the mistake?
It some
What do you think, guys? What is the mistake here? Is there any?
Being.
Is being.
Is being.
Why?
Because being have to have in base form.
In the base form. B? ¿Solo B?
Yes.
Yes.
A ver, vamos a leerlo. The town is a little isolated and the winter, yes, in the winter, it can sometimes be cut off, right? Very good. B. Entonces tendríamos que cambiar acá B.
Just bit.
Very good. And the last one, please, Castro.
Life here is very different from life in the city, and I do sometimes miss the noise and crowds. I think this sentence is correct.
Correct. Yes, this sentence is correct, right? Very good. Let's go to the next one. Exercise number, let's exercise B. Decide if the verbs, phrases in bold are emphatic or non-emphatic. Number one, I was not saying I was angry, just a little bit disappointed. That's all. I do love what you've done with the apartment. It's so welcoming. And she simply does whatever she wants. It's so frustrating. Which of these phrases do you think is emphatic? Which of these sentences? ¿En cuál queremos hacer énfasis?
Number 2.
Number 2, right? How do you know that? ¿Por qué lo sabe? ¿Cómo se dio cuenta de que es número 2?
Because the person is expressing what he thinks about the action.
Okay. Anybody else? ¿Por qué la 2 sería una oración enfática? ¿Notan algo raro en esta oración? ¿Algo diferente, tal vez?
The auxiliary.
The auxiliary. What happened with the auxiliary verb?
It's not necessary.
Yes. Why?
We can say I love.
Okay, but we write or we say the auxiliary verb when we are making emphasis, right? When we are emphasizing something. For example, I do love, okay? Generalmente van a escuchar el auxiliar en oraciones afirmativas que casi nunca las utilizamos cuando vamos a dar énfasis a algo. Sí podríamos utilizar auxiliares, ok? Por ejemplo, do or did, algunos auxiliares, ok? ¿Alguna otra oración que sea enfática? ¿O solo esa? ¿Alguna otra oración que sea enfática o solo es la número 2?
Only number 2.
Only number 2. This one is emphatic too. Number 1. Why? Why do you think it's emphatic number 1? ¿Por qué sería enfática? ¿Por qué quisiéramos hacer énfasis aquí en esta oración?
Because it not have the abbreviation.
Abbreviation? Anybody else?
Because express
Abreviado wasn't.
Contracted.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes, the auxiliary verb is not contracted, right? No está contraído, no abreviado, sino contraído. Contracted. Yes, that's why number 1 is also emphatic. I was not saying. Porque si no quisiéramos hacer enfático, diríamos I wasn't saying. Pero generalmente este not se pronuncia más fuerte. I was not saying I was angry. Okay? Very good. Let's go back to the page 17. Page 17. Here we have 2 pieces of advice. Okay? You are going to work with your partners. You are going to work in groups. And I want you to find the mistakes in all the sentences that we have here. Okay? Find the mistakes and then we are going to check. I'm going to give you 5 minutes, but I want you to do this together, not alone, no individual, okay? In groups. Let's go to the groups. You can go. You will have 7 minutes.